Hey guys, welcome. Today I've got some living room updates I'm going to be working on, so it's going to be a casual vlog. I've got some repotting to do with some big plants, big statement living room plants. So I'm going to try to tackle that today. I got some nice pots. I love them. I think they're going to turn out awesome once we get this done. So I'm going to work on that with you. I've really got to tackle that because I've been putting it off and procrastinating on it for weeks now. So I've got to handle it today with you. And then I've got to show you this thing that I was waiting for from Germany. And I mentioned it in a previous vlog. It's larger. It's going to take up a little bit of floor space in the living room, but it's not a piece of furniture. So I just wanted to share some of these updates with you guys. And also there's this other really cool piece that I got at an estate sale. So I'll show you that later on in the video too. It's more like a manifestation symbol to me. So this is my pygmy date palm. I'm going to tackle this one first. It's a lovely, light, airy, beautiful, feathery frond plant. It also has 2-inch long thorns that want to stab you if you get near it. The thorns are mostly towards the stalk, so they're towards the base of each frond. You could always trim those off if you really wanted to. I haven't. I just let them grow because normally I'm only fondling the fronds out here anyway. But I haven't had to repot it yet. It's still in its original nursery pot. So we're going to see what this experience is going to be like. This is a 3-trunk pygmy date palm. There's not much pygmy about it going on. It's quite chunky, it's quite large. I wish it was a little more pygmy. I think with fronds, perhaps the best way to get a grip on these is just to push them all upwards and tie them so we don't end up with broken fronds. I have my plant Velcro. And then I'm just gonna shimmy it upwards. Okay, there we go. Just to kind of see when you're about to be stabbed. So we can kind of keep an eye on the spines a little bit better. And if you wanted, once you got it tied up like that, you could go in and trim those down because it's mostly near the, ow, I just poked myself. It's mostly just towards the stalk. So if you just avoid the stalk area and the base of the fronds, we should be okay. I bought a pot specifically for this plant. I got this one from Home Depot. It's one of the Southern Patio. I think that's the name of it. Southern Patio. I think that's the brand. It's the largest size. It's 22 inches. So it's a big bugger. And I'm gonna pull the plug out right now, I won't be needing that because you need drainage. Okay, sorry guys, hang on one sec. I'm putting these furniture bumpers, these felt pads on the bottom of the saucer. So I just have that flipped upside down right now on the floor. So I'm gonna get the saucer sorted out before I get the plant into this pot. That way I don't have to lift it more times than I need to. I just want to put the pot on that before the plant gets in it and then put the plant in it and slide it across the floor. So the pot that I have here is a resin pot, but it's like a thicker resin pot. So it's got a really nice sturdy look to it. It looks good. I wanted a nice aesthetic in the house because I was going for a certain look. Sort of the look that I'm kind of aiming for is, let's see, like a Mediterranean oasis where it's a little bit like desert meets oasis. Okay, I'm just gonna wipe that saucer down. Now that I have all of that out of the way, let me see if the pot actually fits the saucer because I didn't actually check that first. I just bought the largest saucer I could find. Beautiful, it's perfect. This plant is going to be so happy once it gets into its new larger pot because it's so overgrown in that nursery pot. Do we have any spines near where my face would be going? No? Okay, I think we're good. They're like mostly down here. So let's just kind of like, I'm gonna brace my arm on my knee and just kind of see how heavy this might be. Okay, now you got to go over there because you're going to be for a different plant. We're going to have to tip it on its side. Okay, I'm just kind of wiggling it. Okay, I just want to lift. There we go. There we go. Okay, they got lots of fertilizer in there. Holy cow, those roots. Oh my gosh, those roots are crazy. Look at that root system. That's just like pure solid root cake. I'm not touching them though, because these plants are notorious for getting upset and dying after you mess with their roots. So yeah, I'm not going to be teasing the root system out or doing anything of the sort. I'm just going to take it, pot it directly into that pot of soil, and it can figure itself out. Careful of your back when you're lifting heavy plants too. Try to lift from your legs, your knees, your hips. Try not to use your back. Okay, double checking for spines. It could come in contact with the body before I go to lift this. Lifting with my knees. And down. They're supposed to be slow growing plants, but I don't know, these roots have really filled out the pot so quickly. And the soil I'm using, we just bought this at Green Things here in town. It's the EB Stone Organics, citrus and palm potting soil. I'm just gonna be so happy getting into a new pot, finally having those top roots covered. It took that entire bag of soil to fill this pot. I'm just mulching the top with some coconut husk because I didn't want to leave the soil bare on the top. When I first got this bag of soil, I checked the ingredients. Okay, so aged fir bark, lava rock, sand, volcanic pumice, aged redwood, and peat moss is what's in this. So when I was trying to decide if I was going to amend that or not, I went with not amending it because it already had, you know, the pumice in there, and I didn't feel like this particular plant needed it any more amended because it does tend to like to not dry out. It likes to keep some moisture in the soil all the time. At least that's been my experience here in the desert. As soon as I see the fronds start to droop slightly, I know it's thirsty, definitely time to water. Each little leaf of the frond actually has like a crease in the middle, and it'll start to close up when it's trying to conserve moisture, which is really neat about these plants. They definitely are good communicators when they're trying to let you know what they need. This one is a pretty chunky coconut husk. This is the chip block, so it's not the chips and fiber. It makes a good mulch topping. I'm gonna scoot this back over to its home on this side of the living room. All right, see, I love those furniture bumpers, those felt pads on the bottom. It just makes it so easy whenever you need to slide a big plant around. And now I'm going to unleash the Kraken. Let's see, okay, just trying to make sure it's not pressing against the window. This thing has a wide footprint, so I want to make sure it's not pressing up against the hot window. Okay, now I'm going to water it in. I'm sure it will be very excited to get a drink of water because it was pretty dry. I let it dry a little bit longer than usual, just so it wouldn't be quite so heavy when I went to repot. All right, this next plant is a Dracaena marginata. I love these plants. Let's see, is it better to lay it down on its side and pull the pot off of the root ball? Or is it better to try to lift the whole plant straight out? This is a rather tall plant. It's about 6.5 feet tall. I'm gonna just use my shoulder and just see if it's possible to, no, we are gonna have to lay it down, I think. Yeah, we're gonna have to lay it down. I thought maybe the pot will slide off. No. Not going to happen. All right, here, what, wait, hold on. Let's get some leeway here so we're not crashing into anything. I'm just gonna tilt with the taller ones. I'm trying not to lay it totally flat on the ground because I don't want to smash all the leaves on one side. Why are we stuck? I don't see any roots poking out the bottom. Oh, there we go. It's lightweight enough for me to hold it in one hand. Let's see what's going on in here. Oh good, the roots look good. Ah, it's beautiful. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is just set it straight down. I'm not gonna be, pardon me. I'm not going to be teasing out the roots. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna grab a mask. I'll be right back. Let's see if this stays standing or if it's gonna fall over as soon as I step away. I'm just gonna leave it sitting there. I'll be right back. Whew, all right. Sorry, I just have to get that mask on. I'm trying not to kick up a bunch of dust, but I am working with dry soil right now, so I'm just being careful not to like puff it into the air, but I just don't want to breathe it in. I'm gonna min this mix with some extra perlite too. A little more perlite. All right, that's all for that bag. All right, I'm just using some of that chunky coconut husk for top dressing, just like the pygmy date palm. It'll just make the top look nicer. So these Dracaena marginatas are one of my favorite houseplants to grow. I love the overall aesthetic of them. I love the stalk, or not stalk, cane. They call them canes. So I love the look of the cane. I love the dark green leaves. They're very light and airy and wispy, almost reminiscent of a palm. I love these plants, and I always have. It was one of my earliest houseplants that I ever had. So I used to have a couple of these in the house that I had bought at estate sales, got them for super cheap, potted them up and grew them for a while, grew them bigger, and then I ended up selling them, and it was the one plant that kept coming back to my mind that I missed. I really missed having one of these plants. So even though I had my plant room full of beautiful plants, velvet leaf philodendrons, gorgeous anthurium, I just missed my good old Dracaena marginata. They're just an easy care houseplant that I don't have to put a lot of thought into, and it just always looks good, you know? I mean, I've got some brown tips here because I let it get a little too dry in its nursery pot, but yeah, it'll be fine in here. It'll have more soil to hold some more moisture in there for it. So yeah, after missing having a Dracaena marginata, wishing I would have kept one for myself, I came across them at Costco. Michael and I came across them, and I was like, oh my God, I spotted it from across the entire warehouse, basically. Like as soon as I could see the tops of them in the middle of the store, I just made a beeline for it. And picked out my favorite one, and Michael was like, oh dang, those are a really good price. He'd seen them in the greenhouses here, so he was like, well, you got to get it. You've been talking about it, you've got to get one back in the house. So in case anyone was curious how a new plant snuck in the house while I'm having plant sales, that's the story. That's the story behind this plant. I'm pretty sure this is going to be under this grow light and next to the window here. Okay, let me get this back into its spot. All right, let's water this in. Michael's watching squirrels outside the window.
2 of them. Hopefully the reflection that no one can see me right now.
Yeah, he feeds them. Okay,
Zoom and enhance.
I was just gonna get your opinion on where you would ideally like that big plant. I just potted this one up. It can either be in front of the window, kind of where it is now, or it can be right there on that side of the arch.
No, I think right there is perfect.
Okay.
Because if I have the bellicon there, it helps, for privacy.
Okay.
I'm moving the bellicon back.
Okay. Michael is bringing some stuff in, so if you hear some noises in the background, that is him. Let's see, was it about 6 weeks ago, maybe 8 weeks ago, I had mentioned in a vlog that I was waiting for an item to come in from Germany, and I was very excited for it. It was late, but I was a little bit worried. I was hoping it was not lost. It was coming DHL from Germany, and it was going to be a bigger item, not huge, but just a bigger item. It was going to take up some floor space in our living room, but it wasn't a piece of furniture. So now I want to show you guys what that turned out to be. And how I ended up getting this was I had been wanting one for a long time, like years. And for some reason I kept putting it off. I waited until I had enough cash just from plant sales to be able to get this.
While I got my minute going, let's do it.
Okay.
Ready?
Do you like that in the front or the back?
Right there works.
Okay. It's a Bellicon rebounder. I love the heck out of this thing. Michael likes it too.
Well, I love
what do you think of it?
Best piece of workout equipment.
Best piece of workout equipment. Yeah, it's definitely the best piece of workout equipment I've ever owned in my life. All right, guys, it's been a couple of weeks since I did the Repot. Just figured I would give you a quick update on how they're doing. They survived the Repot and they're doing good. They seem to be settling into their pots okay. I really, really like big statement plants that have a light, airy feel to them. And these two are so easy to care for. They're so low maintenance. The pygmy date palm is very vocal about when it wants water. It really lets you know. It'll start drooping the lower fronds. So as soon as I see those start to droop, I know it's definitely time to water. On the fronds, each one of these little pieces here, that's a leaflet. So each one of these leaflets has a center crease. And that center crease, the plant will actually start to close that slightly when it's thirsty and it's trying to conserve water. So you can tell just by looking at it when it needs more water. I just love these pygmy date palms. They're just so easy to care for. They let you know when they're thirsty before they start freaking out or having a meltdown or something. There are some dry tips on mine because I was not sure exactly how much water to give it at first when I first got it. Yeah, so there's some dry tips on mine. That is from underwatering. And the leaves or the leaflets are very thin actually, so they are sensitive to drying out. They don't like to go too dry. So I water it about once a week. Oh, and right in here, it's got some new fronds coming out. And it's starting to open. Love these big statement houseplants that are easy to care for and just look, you know, kind of luxurious, you know, doesn't it have sort of a luxurious look to it? I love palms. Yeah, all the fronds are growing really nice too. They're growing straight up towards the grow light. The Soltech Solutions, that's the 40-watt grow light for sun-loving plants, and it is working amazingly well. And if anyone is wanting to get a grow light from Soltech Solutions, I still have the code for, I think it's 15% off Aeroid Interiors. I'll post it below. The Dracaena marginata is also a really non-picky plant. It's so easy and low maintenance, and I just try to make sure I stay on top of watering because it is sensitive to getting too dry and it will start dropping lower leaves. You'll start seeing more and more of those if you're letting it get a little too dry. I think I like this plant also because it sort of resembles a palm. You know, it has these lovely naked stalks with nice poofy pom-pom tops. They also seem to like about the same amount of water as the pygmy date palm. They dry out a little in between watering, but I don't let it get too dry. At least that's been my experience so far. They don't like to get too dry. They do like consistent moisture always in the pot. Otherwise they start to droop quite a bit. The leaves get pretty droopy. It's normal for some of the lower leaves to dry, but if you're getting a lot of lower leaves drying out, then you know it's probably getting too dry in between waterings. But picking up on those waterings will perk it up and keep those leaves on. It'll keep those pom-poms nice and full. What do you think of the plant pots and the plants?
Yeah, that's good.
And you like the Bellicon on this side of the room?
Yeah. I like being able to see out the window.
Yeah, okay. Best piece of workout equipment I've ever owned in my life. And that's the rest of our little workout space over there. But yeah, this thing is awesome. If you guys have any questions at all about rebounders, picking out a rebounder, how I decided on this one, let me know in the comments below and I will do a separate video on it. Or showing you some of my favorite jumps, you know, routines on it, anything. I absolutely love this thing. So we're slowly turning this area into our home gym area. We have our yoga mats over here. I have them layered, so there's actually multiple yoga mats there because the ceramic tile is so hard. So I have a few yoga mats laid down there, and then I brought that shelf out from the plant room. I just needed something to set my small fitness equipment on, like dumbbells, yoga blocks, ankle weights, yoga straps, things like that. And one other thing I wanted to show you guys, that is Michael's desk. I'm not sure what's going on there, but I'm not picking on him because I got my own mess going on up here. That's my desk. But down here, I wanted to show you this masterpiece here. A saguaro skeleton with the root. This is a manifestation piece here because I've only ever come across these twice in my life, and I've owned both pieces both times. I found them at estate sales. The first one I got a few years ago, and I sold it like 2 years ago. I was kind of bummed that I ended up selling it, and I started thinking about that like a couple of months ago actually. I went with Michael to an estate sale a couple weekends ago, and I was just roaming around. He wanted to go to the estate sale because he was looking at tools and stuff, and I was just roaming around, not really looking at anything, and all of a sudden there it was. I was standing right next to it. I looked down and I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe no one has this yet. No one had a sold sticker on it or anything. So I picked it up, waited in line, and got my saguaro skeleton back. So this new saguaro skeleton serves as a symbol of manifestation for me because I had just started thinking about that other one. I missed it. I wish I hadn't sold it. And then this thing basically just fell in my lap all over again, and I love it even more than the first one. I love how this one is more sun bleached. It's lighter in color. It's not as gray and washed out or weathered as the other one. And I love the root system on this one. It's so cool. So I'm using it as a plant stand for my Philodendron patriciae. All right guys, so I still have work to do in the living room, like organizing that arched shelf. I haven't touched that yet. So it's got some crystals on it, but it's not organized or styled whatsoever. So I'm gonna do that in another video, I think, because I wanna do this Organize With Me series. Got a ton of projects to do around the house, and I love doing that during this time of year. I love tackling organizing projects during transition times of year, and I feel like fall is one of those transition periods, you know, like moving into fall towards winter, and we're gonna be in the house a lot, so we're gonna be having to see whatever we're around in our environment, and I just wanna make it the best that it can be, you know? Organizing is one of those things where it's just an ongoing process, and you just gotta keep on top of things. And I, you know, fall behind on things too. Like, look at the shelf behind me. Once upon a time, I had it exactly like how I wanted it, and then I like start setting stuff up on it that don't actually go there. And so now I've got like other crystals and like tiny crystals and things that aren't actually supposed to be up there. And like books, I think I'm gonna take those books down maybe in, I don't know, well, I'll figure it out. That'll be a different video. So anyway, I've got more organizing projects coming up, and micro-organizing, you know, like that's like a micro-organizing project, just doing one shelf, but still it can really make a big impact on the space when you walk into the room and you see like your space is now clutter-free and it just looks beautiful and peaceful and easy on the eyes. It just makes you feel like you can breathe a little deeper, you know, like a weight of stress has been lifted, and you can focus on the things that you really want to focus on. And just in case you don't get to hear this as often as you deserve in your real life, just know that you are loved, you are valuable, and you matter in this world. And there's only one of you in this entire universe, so take really, really good care of yourselves. All right, guys, I'll let you go. I love you, and I shall leave you with the agouti. I present to you my squirrel. All right, love you guys, bye. You want the Phoenix?